Returns matter, but behavior wins. Lifespans stretch, inflation bites. Businesses, they need plans too. 5Q IQ Financial Power-Ups with Trajan Wealth masters the decades, not just the days. Welcome to our show. I'm Trajan Wealth founder and CEO Jeff Jr. alongside fiduciary advisors Marty Bryant and Corbett Leduc. On this episode, we talk long game mastery, behavior versus returns, planning for 90-plus year lifespans, beating 20 to 30-year inflation, smart debt restructuring, and 401ks for small businesses. So what drives more wealth? Hot returns or staying calm? First up, the question, what matters more long-term? Investment returns or investor behavior? Interesting question.
Behavior.
Investor behavior.
Behavior?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, behavior ultimately dictates the returns because if you're emotionally intolerant, you're not going to get any return.
Right. You're
Exactly.
going to panic.
Exactly.
You don't go to cash whenever you have the slightest thing.
So stay calm, invest on.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Be properly allocated to a level of risk that's comfortable for you. I mean, I think behavior is the first part, but certainly finding a level of risk that's comfortable for you to make sure you can take the long game approach.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, oh, the market's cheap now, I'm going to go more aggressive. But then if it takes a dump, then you're like, oh, I got to panic and then go out. No, it's like finding that level that you can tolerate.
So let's also, the one thing that, we keep talking about, getting in and getting out of the market, you're going to miss the upside. One thing that we have always been remiss on even talking about is the fees that might be associated with getting in and out of the market, right? It might cost you capital gains. You might be throwing off taxes. You might have trade costs. There might be fees associated every time you place a trade. So it's not just the obvious, I'm going to protect here. I'm going to get in here and get out there. There might be expenses you didn't even think about incurring by getting emotional and trading those accounts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. If you missed, a good example of this is don't allow your behavior to rule. But a good example of this is last year, 2025. Or a good example is in year 2025. There was one day in 2025, had you missed that single best day, you would have missed out on almost a 10% return just from that single best day.
Right.
And that was amongst a lot of volatility.
Yep.
So just leave it. Stay calm, invest on.
Yep.
Yes.
Great bumper sticker. Our next listener asks, how should retirement planning change if people live into their 90s or even longer? 30-year retirement planning? Tell us at trajanwealth.com/5QIQ.
Or 40-year retirement planning at that point.
It's not unheard of, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More and more.
If you were planning on 30, we'll just say 30-year plus, right? Then you better be comfortable with taking on risk, because if you're planning on living that long, a 4 to 5% return is not going to cut it.
No.
One
thing you could, if you do have longevity, I know this is a really hot topic and whatever. It's just a hot topic. Lots of opinions about Social Security and when to take it. If you don't have a pension, Social Security is your only guaranteed source of income. Let me qualify that. If you don't have a pension and you don't have an income producing annuity, Social Security would be your only guaranteed source of income in retirement. And if you have longevity in your family, you need to delay that Social Security benefit. You need to maximize it.
You're going to live into your 90s.
Oh yeah. Especially for 95. I mean, those extra 5 years, that's huge.
Or even, so the break even, for the people that say I'm going to take it at 62, the break even, if you don't die before you're 78 and 11 months, then you lose. If you know you're going to die in that time frame, take it at 62. Health related issues, otherwise delay it.
Or if you need the money. I mean, you need the money,
Right. True.
You know what I mean? So
100%. That means you better pray to God that you don't live into your 90s, because it's not going to most likely be really nice for you.
No, exactly. But typically if they need the money right now, let's just be honest, they're probably not making the greatest lifestyle choices anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So people that have done the right things for the entire life, mentally, physically, financially, yes, are going to have that better chance to live longer. Because of that, they've done better financial planning as well.
I don't think we talk to our children enough about the longevity in our families. I think,
Yeah.
we don't talk to our parents about that until we got older. Hey, or we noticed that somebody died. I guess we noticed that someone's
Right.
passed away. But generally, it's not until we get older. I think we've been remiss potentially as parents that we don't discuss this with our children at an early age when we are talking about you have to start investing.
Are they really going to absorb it, though? That's the thing. Are they really going to act? No.
When we can correlate it to a story of somebody being in a horrific Medicaid type situation just because they lived too long, yeah, they're going to listen. That could be a difference of having teeth and not having teeth.
Yeah, I think it's a great thought, but how many kids are actually going to listen? I would agree with that. I don't think any kids want to hear it. It's like, who cares?
No,
we don't start thinking about longevity until we get into that place in our lives ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, maybe 40, maybe,
yeah.
But below 40, no. I mean,
you're going to live forever.
Because Joey's what, 24, 25?
Should be 24 in May, yeah.
Okay, so
but
no 24-year-old is going to think about, oh God, my grandma lived to be 95. I need to be saving more.
She actually would, because she was there when grandma died. So she remembers vividly when grandma
She might remember the death part.
However,
the ability to wrap her head around thinking about longevity and investing for when you need that money.
Then let's turn it around a little bit. Then we tell our children that then this is what's important. You have to start investing now. As soon as your children start earning money, they need to start putting money away.
That part I get, but that's not a longevity conversation.
Then that'll take care of that longevity.
As soon as you find out you're going to live into your 90s, you want to start saving. As soon as you know for a fact you're going to be living into your 90s, you want to start saving. Do it often, do it frequently, do it with as much as you possibly can, and don't get caught up in the hype.
And guys, this is almost the exact type of conversation that we had on the women's podcast that we do. We Are Augusta, and it was bringing up these points, thinking about longevity. How do we get through, and how do we have these difficult conversations? And really talking about mortality is a really difficult conversation to have, especially with our parents. We don't want to think about them passing away, but the reality of it is we have to be armed with that knowledge as to how long do our families live? What are the medical issues that we might run into?
I mean, it's a even harder conversation for a 24-year-old to have that, because in their mind it's so far down the road they're not even thinking about it. They're thinking about, okay, where am I going Friday night?
All right, our next question. Let's move on to inflation. Our next question really discusses how inflation is a silent thief. So how do I protect my retirement money from inflation over 20 to 30 years in my retirement?
Great question. Back to asset allocation and making sure that you're comfortable with risk.
The best asset class to outperform inflation is going to be stocks.
Yep, stocks and real estate. Those are the two greatest builders of wealth.
Be very cautious about getting too conservative. I've seen a lot of people when they enter their retirement or are getting deeper into their retirement, they get way too conservative. Yep. They start looking for the highest rate at the bank, the highest rate on a CD at the bank, 3-4%, whatever it may be. You're not even keeping up with inflation. You're going broke safely. The best asset class is going to be stocks.
Mm-hmm. Well, another allocation, if you wanted to do a small allocation into TIPS, Treasury inflation protected securities, I would not suggest you do a lot of it there, but it does adjust for inflation. Have a small amount allocated over there. So that, let's say we have some money in TIPS, then we have the stock market, we have a balanced income type portfolio, one that's designed to pay income. You get well diversified. Now let's say that the stock market's not doing well, interest rates go up. We don't want to take money out of balanced income. We don't want to take money out of our moat portfolio. Maybe we just pop over into the TIP strategy or, somewhere else to get that broad diversification that you need.
Right. And then you can also look at, sequence of returns, how that comes into play when you retire, So, yeah, I mean, certainly, taking from different buckets, that's what we're always going to advocate here at Trajan Wealth. And, knowing that, to Jeff's point is that, how do you beat inflation? Or how do you not have it be a thief? You have to
stay in the stock market. It's the only place that will ever outpace inflation.
with at least a portion, right? And
The
probably
portion, yeah.
probably the majority, definitely over half, you need to have into some equity-based strategy in that stocks.
Yep. Agreed.
So after a quick break, debt decisions and business 401ks. Now next, does refinancing or combining debts really help me, or does it just kick the can down the road? If you've got debt consolidation questions, don't hesitate to reach out, trajanwealth.com/5QIQ. So what I'd say to that question is it really depends on what interest rate. If you're refinancing it or you're combining it for the same or higher interest rate, you're definitely kicking the can down the road.
Right.
So it's all predicated upon what interest rate you're refinancing or combining them at.
And if you can not, let's say you're consolidating credit cards. Okay, I'm going to take these 4 credit cards and combine it into like this personal loan or something. Fantastic. And as long as you can not go back to the credit cards, that's really the biggest thing. That's where I think most people really fail. So yeah, I did all these different things, and then, oh, I need this, and oh, I need that. And I mean, I had, for example, I had a client in yesterday. They've got roughly $350,000 in 2 different CDs, and they have 30 grand in credit card debt. I'm like, help me understand where that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why would you have just bought a CD on April 1st when you knew you had this debt of $30,000? There's like, yeah, I should probably pay that off. Yeah, I mean, that's common sense.
Yeah, because that CD is not even keeping up with the rate of interest they're paying on that debt.
Right.
Not even close. Yeah, I mean, American Express is going to be like 28%.
So I think I'm all about debt consolidation. I mean, even if you have 5 credit cards at 29%, I would rather see you combine that into one lump sum total at 29%. However, do not change how much you were spending to pay your debt down. So some people will look at it like, oh, now I'm saving $500 a month. What am I going to do with that? Absolutely not. If you're paying $1,500 a month spread out over different credit cards, you consolidate that, continue to pay $1,500 a month and get that beast paid off and become disciplined. Do not overspend.
Yep. Yeah, it all goes back to that discipline, just like you said, Marty. All too often people are attempting to impress people that they don't even know. And that's how that's how they wind up with so much credit card debt in the first place, because they're literally spending money that they don't have.
Right.
Yes.
If you had the money, you're not going to be putting it on interest-bearing credit cards. And the final question, this is for business owners. So if you're a business owner, listen up. I'm a small business owner and thinking about starting a 401k. Is this a good idea? My immediate answer is absolutely. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
It just kind of depends on the format of the company. If it's you and your wife, or maybe you and another family member, then an individual 401k or solo K makes perfect sense. There's no setup costs, super easy to do, and you can put a bunch of money into it. Now, to your point, Jeff, you're a small business and you've got, say, 5 employees. Okay, 5 employees, yeah, certainly setting up a 401k is an option. It can be a little pricey, but not bad. We have some options here at Trajan Wealth that are not too bad. But for a lot of, small businesses, you have to take a pulse of your employees. If I do this, who's going to participate? So yeah, great. 401k helps a business owner because they're financial minded, things like that. But if they've got 5 employees that do all this work and set up for 401k, and then one person participates besides the owner, then that's
well, I mean,
good money wasted.
You're talking about startup costs, and there are different types of 401k plans depending on what you want to set up.
Retirement plans.
401ks, SEPs, simples,
Yep.
solo Ks. There's all different kinds. So it really is going to come down to your needs. So generally speaking, a lot of small business owners, they might not have employees. But what you can do, you can hire your children. You can set your children up through a plan. You can have your spouse involved. So there's lots of different options out there. You can set up that retirement plan. However, your small business is going to thrive within that plan. You can have participating and non-participating. There's a bunch of different. Don't walk away from the ability to save money for retirement just because you have employees and it might be a little complex. Invest in yourself first. And if your employees don't want to follow suit, that is on them.
Yeah. And it's not like the old days. I mean, it doesn't cost a significant amount of money to get these plans started.
Sure.
I mean, they're pretty easy to get started and they're pretty simple to get started. And even if employees don't take advantage of it, I think there's some value there that the employees still know that they have something available to them. So even if they
Right.
don't take advantage of it, there's still the fact that it's available. I can put it in. And then if HR, depending on the size of the company, if HR
Right.
or the business owner or whatever it may be can say, hey, we match on top of it, we're giving you free money. Because a lot of these people haven't been explained the power of compounding interest.
Right.
So once they see how far $25 a month or $50 a month or $100 a month goes, it can really be a big benefit. And it can mean a big difference to their family. But I'd say beyond that, for the employer specifically, having a 401k plan or a company retirement plan really makes a big difference with recruiting. Because if you don't have a 401k plan, I know even if they're HVAC people, they're asking, what are your benefits?
Well,
Yeah.
Now, they might be talking specifically 401ks, they might be talking specifically health insurance, but a 401k is an additional benefit that will help you recruit top talent.
Mm-hmm.
And if
And
somebody
keep
doesn't understand the power of compounding interest, that gives you an ability to hire talent that does understand the power of compounding interest, because your competitors aren't taking them because they have a 401k and you don't.
Right.
Well,
Sure.
and the other thing that you can do when you're setting up the plan, if it is, so let's say that it's an industry that is kind of transitory, right? People kind of come and go. Then you set up your plan so that you have to defer for 1 year before you're allowed to participate in the plan. At least that way, the owner has the ability to be participating in the plan. And if his employees don't make it for a year, then, there's no harm, no foul there. But at least the owner is set up being able to make those savings for himself.
So, what we found, Marty, is that, if they are in an occupation or sector that's a little bit more transitory, okay, and it's not always their fault that they can't save, because in that environment, for a lot of employers, they're not offering 401ks. So, they can't really do that. But, luckily for us here at Trajan Wealth, if you are working for that type of company that's not offering a 401k, call us. We have some great options and solutions that will not only help you, but help the entire company for very limited setup costs, very limited ongoing costs, but the ability to really champion for your own retirement.
Yeah, give us an
Absolutely.
opportunity to talk to your employer and discuss with him or her the advantages of offering a 401k. And what they'll learn is that it's very inexpensive to set up.
And in addition, there are a lot of tax incentives too by doing that. So, that's the part that we kind of forget about. That, yeah, you get the setup cost, true, but for the tax incentives and things like that, I mean, that is huge for the employer.
Absolutely. And the more employees that buy into it, maybe that employer is going to have better retention, like what Jeff was saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jeff's already mentioned that per numerous studies that having that 401k is a huge benefit perk.
Competitive differentiation is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a company that believes in its employees.
Exactly.
Today, we talked about long game mastery, behavior beats returns, 90-plus year-long planning, inflation defense, smart debt, and business retirement. So what's your decades-long move? Visit TrajanWealth.com/5QIQ and share with us. Plan smarter, dream bigger. Thanks for tuning in to 5QIQ Financial Power-Ups with Trajan Wealth.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Information discussed during this program is intended for illustrative and entertainment purposes and is not investment advice or an offer to buy or sell any investment. Please consult your financial advisor for questions about your financial situation. All investments involve risk and the potential for loss. Any examples given are strictly hypothetical. Your results may vary. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.